if you read one more book in your life, it needs to be this one, The Accidental Superpower by Peter Zion. It was actually written in 2014, the copyright. And I believe Peter's going to have to write a new one because of what's about to happen in our world could make this book in need of another chapter. We are facing the struggle for who is going to be the superpower as we move forward. I almost said the next superpower, but I don't mean that. There is a chance it stays where it's at in the United States, but there's also a chance that it moves west. And that's what I want to talk about in this video, because I want to give you the 5 reasons why I believe the stock market is going to take a tremendous pullback, and I don't know what tremendous means, so don't put any number on it, and then rebound. And the rebound is going to determine who is going to be the superpower. But there are 5 things that have to be addressed. And I started addressing this on September the 10th. I did a video entitled Timing the Next Supermarket Crash. That was 24 days ago. If you've watched my videos since then, I've been focusing on the next crash. I'm going to change that word to pullback because I don't know the severity of the movement, and crash, it denotes something pretty disastrous. I don't know that it will be disastrous, but I know and I have recognized 5 things that are going to determine the direction not only of the stock market, not only of our economy, but the economies of the world. 5 things have happened that are creating a perfect storm. And I want to address those today, and then I want to solicit your help on how you and I should address them and how we should move forward as investors to profit off of these 5 things that have really kind of transformed over the last month. Our world has changed dramatically, and that isn't really fair. Our world has changed dramatically since March of 2020. And we will someday in the future look back and equate that, what happened on March of 2020, to what created the meeting in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, in July of 2014, after World War II, to get the Allies to say, this can never happen again. And that is the premise of this book. And I'm saying the premise of the next book will be July of 2020. And you are about to see the consequences of what happened in July of 2020. Okay, that's what this video is about. We have a tribe, we have a group of people who focus on things like this to help us make good decisions. I've written a book about it with help from Colin George, and these 2 books are 2 books I think you need to read, and there's a link to them both in the description. Okay, let's get at this right after I tell you I'm not your financial advisor.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
Okay, so what are the 5 elements I think that are going to cause Peter Zion to have to write a new book? First of all, one that happened just recently, and that is the China real estate crisis. China's economy, 30% of it is wrapped up in real estate. The value of real estate is being discounted anywhere from 25 to 50%, which is going to create havoc to the economic markets of China. And China is the second largest economy in the world, and it's going to have some ripple effects. Anybody who tells you it isn't has never read this book or anything else, more than likely. So we need to recognize that is an element that you need to factor into any investment decisions that you make from this point forward. The Fed announced that they are tapering back, that they are going to take, I believe it was $120 million per month out of the purchase of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. That's a lack of liquidity. It's a sizable lack of liquidity. So it will have an effect. So you have to factor it in to any investment decisions that you make from this time forward. If it's only that, it's probably not a big thing. But it isn't only that. Let's add to it that the Fed also announced at that time that they would be raising interest rates between now and 2022, 2023. We saw an immediate effect of it as the 10-year Treasury went up from 1.35 to 1.52. Well, you might say, well, that's a 0.17% increase. Kerry, that's not that big a deal. It's a 12.5% increase. Think about if your mortgage payment went up 12.5%. Well, there are a lot of corporations that have shaky debt that is tied to the 10-year Treasury price. And so if it goes up 12.5%, their debt service goes up 12.5%. That's sizable. And the real worry is it's not going to stop there. It will continue to go up. As that happens, that creates a liquidity problem. I don't have enough money to pay my mortgage, or the debt that I have on the business that I'm trying to build. If I don't have any other source to go get capital, and the cost of capital goes up, and the cost of my debt service goes up, I'm on the ropes, okay? And then when you add into that the China real estate crisis, the Fed tapering, you have the start of a perfect storm. Now let's look at reason number 4, that we need to be concerned. It was announced last week that China is having some blackouts. That is, they're turning the electricity off in some of their plants such that the things that we need for Christmas or for our trucks and our cars, semiconductors, aren't available. Our supply chain is broken. We really never gave this any thought until about a year ago when we couldn't get these. I carry one in my pocket all the time right now. Wouldn't leave home without it. But we couldn't get these. And we needed these so that we didn't go to the hospital and be put on a respirator, which we couldn't get either, because both were made in China. But what we've learned in the last 24 days is so are all the semiconductors that we need to make our vehicles work. We've learned in the last several days that there's 3,000 of them, 3,000 semiconductors in the average car coming off the production line today. And we don't have enough. So Ford has 20,000 vehicles sitting in a northern Kentucky parking lot that they can't deliver to their dealers who could sell them, but they can't get them because the lights are off in China. What? Yeah. Now, it isn't just semiconductors, it's also backpacks. Yeah. When your daughter went to buy a backpack for your grandchild to go to school this past September the 1st or whatever, it cost her 40% more than it did the year before. Why was that? And what's in backpack? It isn't what's in backpack. It's supply and demand. Remember, I told you, our supply chain is broken. When you don't have supply and you have demand, what happens? Prices go up. Prices are going up on cars because you can't get cars. Prices are going up on used cars because you can get used cars. Prices are going up on backpacks because you can't get them. And every other Christmas present that you're going to want to buy this year, the price is going up. Nita told me she needs a toaster. She needs a new toaster. Carrie, she said, this toaster's broken. I'm tired of fighting it. I need to get a new toaster. I said, you better get it now because it has a chip in it. It has a chip in it to tell it when your toast is toasted and to pop it up. And they're running out of chips. And oh, by the way, they're backed up trying to get into Los Angeles because there's nothing to fill those containers up to send back to China. So there's a backlog, and then there's a shortage of truck drivers. And go get your toaster today, Nita, because the perfect storm, the perfect toaster storm is about to happen. Okay, so we have a blackout. So as there is a shortage of supply and a steady demand, prices go up, and that's inflation. That's number 4. Number 5, the Fed stimulus program. It's having trouble. Joe can't get it through. Hell, they had a tough time just getting an extension or an increase in the federal budget so that the federal government could stay open. And that's not an issue. I mean, that happens every year. It's just the disorganization. And that's the element to be learned here. Our government doesn't work. So we have, as a result of, since March of 2020, we learned that we have a broken health system in that we didn't discover this virus until it was rampant through, and that shouldn't happen. And technology is going to basically take care of that in that we will be notified when the next virus comes on our phone that, and this is being taken care of. And if you watch some of my prior to September 5th, 10th videos, you know that I know that biotech is going to fix our healthcare system. But nonetheless, it is something that needs to be addressed by our Congress to make sure, and our government to make sure that, in fact, it does get fixed. But then that also brought up the fact that our supply chain was broken, that we couldn't get the masks, we couldn't get the ventilators. Now we can't get the trucks, can't get the cars, can't get the backpacks, can't get the toasters. These things are all creating the perfect storm. So, knowing that, the stock market will pull back. Okay? Does that mean, in fact, we're doom and gloom? No. It will re-surge, or what was the word I used? The storm is brewing, but it will rebound. That was the word I used. It will rebound. Why is that? What has to happen? Well, we've got to find out what's going to happen relative to China's real estate, and it will be corrected. It'll probably be corrected by the fact that China will print an ungodly amount of yuan, that's their currency, to take care of the people in China, much as we took care of our bankers when we had a real estate crisis. The Fed will probably renege and come back and say, we're going to support the markets, and we'll probably be buying more treasuries and mortgage-backed securities to keep ourselves afloat. That's what we got to watch to see if they're going to happen. The Fed will probably have to also come in and say, we're going to freeze interest rates where they are until we get this settled because we are in the perfect storm. That's something we want to see if we're going to get a rebound. And then we got to get Congress to have a kumbaya moment and say, the most important thing we can do here in Washington, D.C. is to rebuild the supply chain. That's what we have to hear. If you hear that, and they all get in the hall or on the steps and they sing a nice song and say, we are one, then we're probably on a safe ground. But there's a between now and then. And in essence, Congress has got to get its act together, got to recognize the competition it's in, or we may have a new accidental superpower. That's what's in balance on the big scale. On the small scale is your portfolio and what you do and how you react. This is a big subject. It's too big for Carrie. There's too many moving parts. I just gave you 5. I'm sure there are 5 more and maybe 50 more. It's a big subject. And you and I are prey for those who are smarter than us. And they will beat us at this game unless we work together. Now, how can we work together? I told you about the tribe. The tribe is a group of people, and that's the way. I mean, think of it from a point of view. You're in the woods, and the enemy's coming. You don't stand a chance unless you have an army, unless you have a tribe, and you work together as opposed to working alone. If you will unite, if you will put your heads together and then create a strategy to move forward, you might beat the enemy. But you aren't going to do it by yourself. So that's why I created this YouTube channel, is to try to unite a number of like-minded people that could come together and share information. We do that at Best of Us Investors. You go to this link, Best of Us Investors, and you leave your name and your email address, and I invite you to join the tribe. And then we meet in a Zoom call at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, and we discuss things like this. Carrie can't do it all. You aren't going to get all the answers from one place. You need to unite. You need to come together and work together for a common goal. And what's the common goal? To make some money as a result of this perfect storm. That's where we are today. Forget about the past. Don't forget about the past. You can learn from the past. But understand, we are at the perfect storm. You will either win moving forward or you will lose. The decision is yours. The first step is right there. Okay. I'd love to see you join us. I'd love you to open your mind up and share your thoughts and build on our knowledge base so that we can do 3 things. Number 1, make good investment decisions. Number 2, learn the tax code so we can keep more of what we make. And number 3, to build family wealth so that we can create a legacy of wealth, so that our family can have a museum named after them. Okay, that's my take on the market today. I think today, Monday, is the most important day in the rest of your investment life. Now, Tuesday may be a little bit more important, but we'll have to wait and see. And I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.